So here we are, this is our Tine Weeder. There's a number of different manufacturers that make implements like this. The basic concept is that there are a whole bank of tines that are all offset behind the tractor. And they have some tension on them. This creates a tension with the spring and with this drum here that I'll talk about in a second. But there's some tension on the tines that allows them to dig into the ground. And there's also enough play in these tines that it can bounce back and forth. And what that allows it to do is wiggle in the soil, just like you would rake your hands through the soil. It'll wiggle in the soil and it allows it to bounce around your crops, which ideally are more established, but rake out all the weeds in a somewhat wide section. I tend to really like this Tine Weeder. This is called a Trefler Tine Weeder, mainly because of the ability to adjust the tension really quickly and easily. The way that this works is that this is all tensioned on this drum. If I release it, it spins open, and it's really easy to gauge if I want to set a very light tension at tension stop 1, or if I want to go up to what we're doing here on the corn, which is all the way up to basically 7.5. And as I roll in those cables, I'm going to get more and more tension on those tines. It's going to allow it to be more aggressive in how it digs through the soil. So when we want to run this on our transplanted blocks in the first 3 to 5 days, it's really easy for us to dial this back to say tension 4.5 or something. And then when we have a crop like corn that can really take an aggressive tine weeding, again, it's so easy for me to adjust here to go up to 7.5. Some other Tine Weeders, you can adjust tension, but you actually have to adjust the tension on each individual tine. And you can imagine that can get really time consuming as you bounce back and forth between fields at different stages. The last part of these Tine Weeders is that they have a depth setting. So these are gauge wheels. And then if you run this, it's somewhat counterintuitive, but if you run the gauge wheels further down, so have the implement lifted up higher, it'll create your tines will have kind of a more aggressive angle. So when we don't want to run it that aggressively, we actually run it almost flatter to the ground so that the angle of the tines is more perpendicular to the bed rather than kind of pointing in at an angle.